Chris Fletcher left me with my mouth wide open. I am not kidding one bit. I was sitting here thinking about how this was going to shake up not only his reputation, but also how people view him and Nell Fletcher on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. And when I read the details, I knew we had to have a full conversation about it. So I need you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because the breakdown is wild and it affects more than just Chris himself. It reaches into his family, his marriage, and even his relationships with other cast members like Marsau and Letitia Scott, Melody Shari, Martell Holt, Kimmy Scott, and Marie Scott, and the fallout. Baby, it might not be pretty. So don't click away. Don't skip ahead, because you're going to want to hear all of this. So here's what we know. Chris Fletcher, who we've seen on the show alongside his wife Nell, was recently found guilty of 6 different real estate violations in Alabama. 6. Not 1, not 2, but 6. And let me tell you, these aren't small slip-ups. These are major violations that got his real estate license revoked and left him with fines totaling $15,000. That's right. $15,000 that he has to pay on top of losing the license he once used to build part of his career. And when you hear the details of what these violations are, you'll understand why so many fans are raising their eyebrows and saying this is not just a misunderstanding, it's a serious issue. Let's break this down violation by violation, because I want you to really feel the weight of what happened. The first violation Chris was found guilty of was engaging in misrepresentation or dishonest or fraudulent acts when selling or buying property. Now, this wasn't just any random property. This was property connected to his own family, whether it was his spouse, his child, or his parent. So right there, the state commission said Chris was dishonest in a deal involving family property. That's a major red flag. Real estate is all about trust, about transparency, and about following the rules that protect both the buyer and the seller. When you misrepresent something or act dishonestly, you're breaking that trust in the worst way. Now, I need you to stay with me here, because this isn't even the worst of it. The second violation was failing to properly handle earnest money. If you've ever been through a real estate transaction, you know what earnest money is. It's that good faith deposit you put down to show that you're serious about buying a property. It's not optional, it's required, and the agent has a legal obligation to handle it properly. In Chris's case, the state said he failed to disburse earnest money after both parties had signed the written agreement. That means somebody was out here expecting their money back after a deal, and Chris didn't give it back. Now, whether that was intentional or sloppy, either way, it's a violation of trust and the law. And again, that's another $2,500 fine on top of the first one. The third violation: engaging in conduct that demonstrates dishonest dealings, bad faith, or untrustworthiness. Now listen, when a commission puts the words dishonest and untrustworthy in writing about your business practices, that is not good. It basically means they don't trust you to handle people's money, their contracts, or their property. And in real estate, trust is everything. Without it, you don't have clients, you don't have referrals, you don't have a business. So this one really stings because it goes directly to his character in the eyes of the commission. The fourth violation was failing to provide information requested by the commission's investigator or auditor within a reasonable time. Let's pause right there. If you've ever dealt with a professional board or a state commission, you know you can't just ignore them. When they ask for paperwork, you have to respond. When they ask for documents, you have to hand them over. The fact that Chris failed to provide that information says either he was avoiding accountability or he was careless with record keeping. Either way, that's another major strike against him. The fifth violation: changing the address of his place of business and not telling the commission within 30 days. That might sound minor, but it's a legal requirement. Every licensed broker or agent has to keep their address up to date so the commission knows where they're operating. If you don't, It looks like you're trying to hide or work in the shadows. And when you pile that on top of the other violations, it paints a picture of someone who just isn't following the rules. And the sixth and final violation is failing to have a proper place of business that meets the requirements set by the state. Basically, they're saying Chris was out here running a real estate business without the proper office setup. Was he working out of his house? Was he not keeping up with the requirements? We don't know the exact details, but what we do know is that the state found him guilty of not having a legitimate business office that meets the law. And with that, you've got violation number 6, another $2,500 fine, and the final straw that got his license snatched. Now put all of that together, and what do you get? 6 violations, $15,000 in fines, and a revoked license. And let me tell, you fans are already reacting. People are saying this is a huge embarrassment, not just for Chris, but also for Nell. Because they came on the show as this polished couple with businesses, with credibility, with connections. Remember when Chris showed up early in the season? He's talking about being a barbershop owner, running a cleaning company, and having his real estate business? That resume sounded impressive. But now, that resume is being questioned. And you know, the cast is watching this play out too. Marsau Scott and Letitia Scott, who are deeply involved in real estate development themselves, have to be looking at this situation sideways. Marsau, who prides himself on being the big business developer of Huntsville, might use this as an opportunity to distance himself from Chris. Because let's be honest, Marsau loves to keep his reputation intact. And anything messy he likes to frame as not my problem. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone brings this up during filming, because scandals like this always find their way into the storylines. Then you have Melody Shari, who has always been about protecting her brand and her image after the mess. With Martell Holt, you know Melody is going to be looking at the situation like, see, this is why I stay focused on my businesses, my skincare line, and my kids, because people out here get caught slipping. Melody doesn't play when it comes to her reputation. And I can only imagine how she must feel watching another cast member's husband lose a license over dishonest dealings. And let's not forget Martell.